Hello, hi. My name is Kuber. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in for our live broadcast today. Something very interesting has happened in the sense like it was absolutely unexpected. I mean, with all of us trying to root this new year in, uh, it's been a bit of a dampener to start with for a lot of you, but at the same time it's absolutely incredible news for lots of other people who were expecting. So what basically has happened, so yeah, that's basically what happened, and that's how it sounded in real life today when the draw came in today. uh, Quite unexpected because all of us were rooting and were expecting to see some drop, and you were able to see, you were expecting that CIC would continue with the 5,000 draws, ITAs per draw, and the scores would come down. But what has actually happened is that the scores have not looked very nice, and today's CRS score was 813. Yeah. And okay, let me just put this up so we know that it's there. Yeah, so today's CRS score was 813 and ITAs issued were only 250. This was a program specific drop and only provincial nominees were invited. So what does that mean? A lot of people are confused as to what does that mean. It means that if you have received a nomination in your express entry profile, if you have received those 600 points in your express entry profile and now your CRS score is obviously quite high, then you would have received that nomination, or you would have received that ITA in today's draw. Only 250 invitations were issued. That tells you that not too many people were nominated. Earlier we have seen the trends of 300, 400, 600 kind of invitations when the program specific draw were happening. Score is 813. Again, a lot of people get confused as to, if you reduce 600 points out of 813 and that gives you 213, so how can someone score 213 and be in the express entry pool? Well, for a lot of you out there, you need to understand that there are several kinds of profile in the pool. This score could very well be of a person who is under the FSTC skilled category, skilled trade category, and they could have also received a nomination under any of the programs that are offered by several provinces. So don't be too surprised to see that score. It's a good score, 813 for a provincial nominee program. But this is what it is for today's shocking. I keep calling it shocking, but to be very honest, it's also going to be quite an encouraging response, or rather quite an encouraging draw for a lot of you who have been waiting for CEC draws, right? So what basically happened is, in the last year, 2020, which was not too far back, during the to the peak of the pandemic lockdowns that we were seeing, we saw CIC adapt to the whole system, and they started issuing PNP and CEC specific draws, whereby only people who had the nomination, who were nominees for any of the provinces were invited for one draw, and the following draw they invited Canadian experience class specific profiles in for draw. So if this is what has happened today with only a PNP draw happening, it could very well be that we see a next draw with a CEC only. It's definitely possible that we might see an all program as well, but considering they have chosen to do a PNP specific draw today, I'm quite sure that the next draw would be CEC. If IRCC wants to surprise us all, then I would be very happy to see that surprise as well. But CEC draw is expected next. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen, I don't know, sometimes this week or even early next week. Any of these dates are possible. There is no specific date once something like this has happened. So, but usually, as we have seen in the past, it would probably happen the following day, which is tomorrow, or Friday, or even early next week. So that's the fingers crossed for CEC draw. So it's incredible news on the other side. As devastating as it is for people at the scores of 466, 467, who were absolutely waiting for today's draw. It's a bit of a dampener for them. But people who are basically CEC profiles, Canadian experience class, and who have been anxiously waiting for CIC to do something like this again, this is a huge breakthrough for them, and they will obviously be quite relieved. I would expect a draw to be in the 460s, depending again on the number of ITAs IRCC decides to issue. So if the number of ITAs in the range of 3,000-ish, 3,000, 3,500 kind of a figure, actually because they issued 250, so I would expect either 3,250 or 3,750 kind of a draw, but it could also be higher. The higher it is, then the lower the scores go, as we all already know about that. So again, something to look forward to tomorrow, especially for people who are in the Canadian experience class category. What decides your Canadian experience class? If you have at least 1 year of work experience in Canada under NOC 0A or B, within the last 3 years period, then you would be under the CEC and you would meet the eligibility and the criteria for CEC, and thereby you could look forward to getting an invitation. Of course, your CRS is within the draw range. Expectations for the next draw would probably be, again, as I said, depending on the number of ITAs issued, I would put it anywhere in the 460s range. I mean, the higher the number of ITAs, the more the number of ITAs, you could then look at 450s as well, high 450s as the next possible draw. But considering that there hasn't been a CEC draw for quite some time, and there are almost, how many do we have it? 10,000 profiles in this particular draw, above 461. So yeah, I would say 460s is a fair estimate. Let's also look at the pool breakdown, so that we all get an understanding of what's in store here. 146,495 as the total pool strength as of January the 4th, which was 2 days back. That's quite I would say heartening, because over the last few months you have seen exponential, I wouldn't say exponential because this won't count as exponential, but we've seen huge increases in the number of profiles that made it to the Central pool, right? So with only 146,495 profiles in this pool, it still leaves you hope for a lot of profiles out there. Then further we get to the critical areas of 461 to 470 score, which is always the the attention area where most of the profiles draw attention from because of the kind of scores that are, and 10,664 profiles in the pool on January the 4th. So that tells you that there could be something happening over here, considering, again, I keep saying considering because we do not know what the draw size would be for the CEC next time. I definitely don't expect 5,000 ITAs, but then CIC obviously based on today's, we know that they're going to be shocking you with something. So, but if it happens, 5,000 happens, you could see the scores in 450s. But if it doesn't, then I would probably say 460s. There are 1,100 profiles at the 471, 480 mark. Not too many at the 491 and then 500 mark. That is always expected. Quite a few profiles. For people who get confused as to how come there are only 183 profiles and the draw was issued for 250 invitations. Well, for them, you need to understand that there has been a gap of 2 days. So 5th and 6th, yesterday and today, and this pool breakdown is as of 4th of January. So these are the new profiles that got added with the higher score. So the profiles would already be in the pool, and then they got their 600 points. They accepted the nomination because, as you know, everybody was back in the office and working from the 4th onwards. So yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th, 3 days, lots of nominations would have been issued to some of the people, and they obviously got their scores up, and they would have then got through. Yeah, that's more or less it. This 471 to 480, 1134 profiles as of 4th is something which is quite heartening, in the sense like it hasn't really seen a very big jump. So what will happen now what will happen to the federal skilled worker draws? To be very honest, nobody knows. I mean, we weren't expecting this either. considering what IRCC does in the coming draws, considering what they do in tomorrow's draw and how much of a gap they would put in the federal skilled worker, rather all program draws, this number is what we need to keep an eye on. You would not see a different pool breakdown whenever they do a CEC draw. You would see the same pool breakdown, so you will not see any changes when they do the draw for CEC. They will probably publish the same pool breakdown, so you won't really get any indication of how many profiles are there over the score of 471. But it still gives you a bit of hope that if at all IRCC resumes all program draws pretty quickly, and I'm hoping that they do that pretty quickly, because I know a lot of you are waiting anxiously because of the birthdays, because of IELTS scores expiring and those kind of situations. So it's a mixed bag. Yes, obviously a lot of people are going to be disappointed, and then a lot of people would be screaming with joy because now they can expect a CEC draw happening. Yeah, that's basically, I mean, there is not much to analyze, to be very honest. I mean, I had actually prepared a small screenshot to post with the graphic as to the scores for today, with 5,000 ITAs and a score of 466, 467 for today. And I took it quickly change once the draw came out, and I wasn't expecting this, to be honest. I don't think anybody was. So therefore, there is nothing much we can sit and analyze with today's draw or make any assumptions or predictions, because, to be very honest, nobody knows. All that we can basically, be a bit assured about is that the next draw, which will happen probably within this week or early next week, would be a CEC specific draw. And from there on, then starts the next aspect or the next weight of the following draw, which happens, which could be either 2 weeks later or earlier, hoping it happens earlier. And would that be an all program draw or not? I was actually hoping that this new year starts with something, drastic in terms of the scores going down further, because this is a new year, means they're starting afresh with their new year's quota. Last year, they issued great number of ITAs, which we did not expect, 107,000. This year, I was hoping that they would be issuing roughly in the range of 110 to 120,000 ITAs, because, considering that's how they're looking at. And obviously, we have a larger quota for immigration for this year, 400 and some thousand immigrants for this year. Obviously, the economic quota is much lower. It's not 400,000. It's in the range of 180 to 200,000 people. So yeah, I mean, let's see what future brings in terms of the following draws and the next draws. And I would like to keep doing this in terms of when the draw happens and we straight away get onto the video, we straight away try and break it down, and all of us, instead of posting questions on the Facebook or elsewhere as to what's happening, what's going to happen next, and we are all trying to sort of figure that out, but we can always do that together and figure it out while we are doing this live. And I can then also look at answering some of your questions. Okay, let me get rid of this. Sorry, my cat. This is lagging a bit. So, yes, I'm back. Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I did not see that at all, that my voice is breaking and the audio was not clear. I am sorry about that. Okay, let's do a quick voice check. Can you hear me now at all? If everything is clear now, hoping it is. Oh boy, I didn't even realize the voice was not clear. I should have checked. Let me know if you can hear me. If the voice is clear now. Your voice is breaking. There are plenty of comments here. I'm sorry, I did not really check the comments earlier because I was sharing the screen. So if you can hear me now clearly, then it's better. Now it's good. Okay, thank you. I assume the reason why that happened is because of the screen share when I had opened up my different screen for the pool table. So probably it sort of clashed with something. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so let's take some questions and see what exactly you guys are thinking. All right, so Shovik says, please tell when. Okay, let me just sort of put this on the side. Why PPRs are not getting issued? Okay, why PPRs are not getting issued? Well, we covered that in our last video as well. If they were going to issue the PPRs now, the restriction or the law states that PPRs issued after the 18th of March cannot travel. All right. So even if they were to issue your PPR now, it would have a validity. And obviously you can't travel. And because you can't travel, then your visa will expire. And then again, you will reach out to IRCC and ask for extension. It creates more work for you, for VFS, for IRCC. Well, so then the best thing would be to hold on to the PPRs until IRCC is clear about the restrictions on and whether or not to sort of start finalizing PPRs again. So as and when the restrictions are eased and the lockdowns are eased, and I guess the governments have a better handle on the COVID situation, you would expect to see more applications being finalized sooner than later. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay. So, okay, I'm sorry, my camera's in between, but let me get this. Okay, yeah, this is better. So the best about CEC will be between 450 and 460. I don't really understand what that means, but I'm trying to assume that what you're trying to say is that what expected scores would be. Now, if it is CEC, as I said a bit earlier, and I'm not sure, maybe the voice was breaking up, and it all depends on the draw size. If the number of ITAs that are being issued is high, then you can expect the draws to go into 450s. Okay. If the number of ITAs being issued is small or in the 3000s, then I expect the scores to touch in the 460s. I don't expect it to drop there. But again, because we do not know the exact pool strength, there is no way of knowing how many profiles in the pool are CC, how many are federal skilled worker. Because there is no way of understanding or knowing that, we will just have to go with the fact that that a lot of these profiles would be federal skilled, smaller number would be CEC, obviously. And with that understanding, if the draw size is in 3000s, then you expect 460s. If the draw size is bigger, then you could expect higher 450s as the possible CEC draw. Okay. Okay, again, another question, why only Ottawa VO is not issuing PPRs? Actually, that is not correct. PPRs are not being issued by lots of visa offices, rather most of the visa offices, including Ottawa. You may have seen certain PPRs from probably Sydney, Nova Scotia, and there were some PPRs issued from some other visa offices at all. But that doesn't mean that they are not holding back. All visa offices are holding back. Some PPRs were issued. Why were they issued? I really can't tell you. But most of the PPRs that were issued were primarily for people who are residing in the United States, because the restrictions, some of the restrictions don't apply to them. So a lot of people who lived in the United States, they were the ones who were able to get the PPRs. There are some candidates otherwise also, whether they are outland, whether they are not in the United States, who also managed to get the PPRs. But look at it this way. Even if you have your PPR, what can you do? You can't really travel. Yes, I know some people have still taken the risk, taken the chance. They have traveled. The airlines did not check. The airport did not check. And they did arrive in Canada, even if their visas were issued after the 18th of March, and they were able to successfully land. But that is not the generic statement. That does not apply to everybody. So why only Ottawa VO is not issuing? Well, actually, lots of visa offices are not issuing. New Delhi is not issuing. London is not issuing. All over Africa, the Ghana visa office is not issuing. Australian visa offices are not issuing, and neither are Singapore visa offices issuing. Yes, as I said, there have been few visa offices that did issue, but not all of them. Okay, there's sorry about that. Video and voice is lagging still. I am not sure why it is happening today, but I'm sorry about that. Sorry about this quality of broadcast. I will figure it out. I will check on this and I will sort of make sure it doesn't happen. But now that we are here, we may as well go on and sort of get on with this. Okay. When do we expect all program draws to happen? As I said earlier, I was hoping for an all program draw for today. I was expecting an all program draw for today. The fact that it didn't happen is obviously a surprise, and it's a surprise for everybody, for all concerned. So yeah, fingers crossed. I hope they resume all program draws again, because I'm sure even IRCC is aware that if they put too much of a gap between the draws, then the scores are definitely going to rise. And then again, it's going to become a bit difficult to get a handle on the scores. We were expecting with the scores in control, some sort of control, that you would constantly see decline. But with this is a new unexpected hurdle. So yeah, see, the thing is, this is, and somebody said it quite nicely, right? And zindagi kabhi khushi kabhi gum. Well, it sometimes it rains and sometimes it's sunshine, but that doesn't change the day, and that doesn't change the life we live, right? As much as it is a disappointing news for so many of you, it is incredibly exciting news for so many others, right? And they all have been waiting, and they would now basically get a chance to get their invitations, which was otherwise looking not so much happening. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to just wait and see when the next draws of all program draws happen. Counterfoil generated and expired PPR not yet. What to expect? Well, nothing to expect. Just wait it out as and when IRCC starts resuming their finalizing. Okay, sorry, days are not looking quite okay. I seem to have kicked my lights down. Well, I guess that will do for the time being. Well, to be very honest, I do not know what the day is holding for you guys, but for me, it's looking like not shaky, because first the audio went off, then the video was apparently lagging, and now my lights have fallen down because I've kicked them out. And yeah, it's strange, but things happen. But let me see, we can take a few more questions before we wrap up for now. And no, it's not earthquake. Sorry, no, it's not earthquake. Definitely not. It was my leg which I managed to kick the lights off. Why CIC is not sending UOCI papers? Same question. I've just answered that. When do we expect biometrics to open for PR applicants? Good question. Now, again, another thing which we don't know. What is happening in Canada, which I'm not sure how many of you are keeping tabs on it, but COVID cases have gone up significantly, right? So instead of them claiming that COVID is in control, COVID is not in control. Things are getting from bad to worse. There have been case numbers which are, so basically Ontario is breaking daily case number records every single day almost. Quebec has announced that they might actually go for more stricter lockdown and probably even enforce a curfew. Ontario today announced that curfew is not off the books and that they may even consider it depending on how serious the things are. So things are quite serious as far as the lockdowns are concerned in Canada. So if this is happening, obviously that will affect the visa officers, whether they can go back to the offices or not. So a lot of you are wondering why this process is being delayed, why everything is being delayed. But it's a bit of logical, right? If visa officers cannot get to work, not everything can be done as work from home, right? So I mean, there's only so much they can do in terms of working from home. Processing permanent residency applications, processing immigration applications is a very, very confidential matter. All right, a lot of your private information is out there with IRCC. So giving the access to people to work from home, this has to then be redesigned in terms of the servers as to how secure they are. People cannot take all kinds of information and all kinds of detail or access all kinds of information from home. And because of the COVID protocols, not everybody can come to the office on time the way they were. A lot of people have been asked to sort of stay away from offices. And for example, if an office could take, let's say 100 people earlier, now they cannot take 100 people now. So reduce number of staff, and obviously it's going to affect you. Anuj asking, when can we expect, I'm sorry, I went off while I was answering this question. So when can you expect biometrics? Well, Anuj, again, we didn't know why they were holding back until now, but the minister, the ambassador or the consul general in India for Canada had earlier mentioned that more than 60,000 appointments were booked only in the month of November, December for biometrics, right? And those were primarily for study permit applications, students, and spousal applications, and those categories of applications who were given priority. Now, obviously, there are thousands and thousands of people waiting for their PR applications, obviously, right? Because so many ITAs were recently issued as well. Now, the point is, as of right now, the priority, I think, stays for the students. And the reason why students have a priority is because we are in January already. The January intake is on, and people who had applied for their study permits and their applications were held, and they were on hold, and they were in the backlog. Lots of applications for January have still not been issued. They were being held back, and they are definitely a priority. So as long as their biometrics are not cleared, I don't think they can then certainly allow the other applications. But as of this point of time, they are not going to be taking PR applications. So I don't expect PR application biometrics to start anytime soon, because they will also have to follow the local COVID protocols. So in India, depending on which city, from one city to another city, there could be difference in what kind of process to be followed. And because BFS has already announced that they have a fixed number of appointments that they could allow, and therefore you would expect that with a fixed number of appointments being allowed and students still not being able to get their appointments fast enough, PR applications biometrics would possibly be held back for some time. I expect sometime towards the end of first quarter, or probably even the second quarter. Early second quarter is when I would expect. But if it happens earlier, trust me, I would be very, very happy if that happens earlier. Right? Thank you. This is really lagging. I agree with you. Something is not right. My computer is absolutely lagging. And okay, use 2 of your premium services. Quite happy. Oh wow, thank you. That's a live feedback coming in. And I wish there was a service where one can ask as many questions till they submit profile. Well, Shane, we do have a service where you can ask as many questions as you want until you submit your profile. Not only submit your profile until you get your decision. And that service we refer to as our Hold My Hand service, whereby our team will guide you throughout the application process until you get your decision. And before that, obviously, the team will also review, check your application, check your documents, check everything there. So thank you so much. Thank you for the feedback. Feedback is always appreciated. Okay. Is there still a travel ban from India to Canada? Well, the travel ban is not specifically to India at all. The travel ban is for different categories of travelers. As of right now, if your PR visa was issued before 18th of March or on 18th of March 2020, you can travel with your PR visa if you have it. If your visa was issued after that, you cannot travel, and visitors are not able to travel. If you have a study permit and it has been issued, and you can travel. If you are a worker, you have a work permit, you can travel. If you have a family in Canada and they are a PR and you are a family outside Canada, then also you can travel. Thank you for asking that question. Okay. VK, please do guide about private premium services. Please head over to our website, www.askobey.com. I am very sorry, guys, for this voice breaking and the video lagging. I'm not sure what it is, but there's no point of going anything with this live with so much of issues. So I'm sorry about that. We will do this again while I figure out what this whole issue is about. If there is another draw, which we expect obviously tomorrow or day after, I will come back and do this live broadcast to discuss that particular draw again. Until such time, I guess there's no point of going with today's session, because as so many of you are complaining that there is a problem with this, right? So sorry about that, and I will sort this out. But thank you for joining in, and until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.